What's up everybody? So welcome back to the series where we go from 500 euros to a supercar. So in today's video we'll be removing the engine finally. So first thing we're going to do is, well, the battery's already removed, so we're going to remove the battery box. We're going to drain all the fluids, then decide if we're going to remove the gearbox and the engine together or just the engine without the gearbox. Need to see if there's any AC gas left in the system, unplug everything, and yeah, take it out. So yeah, quite a big job today, but I guess there's nothing we can't do. It's going to be a long day, so let's not waste any time and just get straight to work. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is drain the engine oil, then the coolant, and I'm not sure about the gearbox oil. I might just leave it in and just put some rags in where the drive shaft goes into, because that's usually where the oil comes out of. So I might just leave the gearbox oil in the gearbox and not bother draining it and refilling it. So yeah, let's remove the engine oil. Okay, so we're underneath the car now. This is the oil pan, so we're gonna drain the oil out of it. Okay, let's attempt not to make any mess. Every time I drain the oil, I always panic and I always think that this is gonna overfill, but there's less than 5 liters in the engine, so it technically shouldn't overfill, hopefully. Okay, so that's the oil drain now. It came pretty close to overfilling, but it didn't, so we're all good. Let's empty this out and then we can drain the coolant. Okay, so the drain plug for the coolant is here at the front. There's a little screw basically that you unscrew and it starts coming out of here. And then onto this and then probably everywhere and make a mess. I've got a bottle's top off and hopefully we don't make a mess and catch it all. I think we should have took off the coolant cap off the expansion tank. Okay, I'm gonna close this and now I'm gonna go open the cap on the reservoir because, well, I think there was more coolant than that in the engine. Okay, the cap now is opened. Let's try again. Yeah, definitely knew there was more water. So yeah, when draining coolant, always open the cap on the reservoir. Okay, so the coolant is drained. So the coolant's drained, the oil is drained. I'm gonna leave the gearbox oil in the gearbox. I'm hoping we can get away with it, but I guess you'll see later in the video. I think while we're down here, we can remove the exhaust. Should be pretty easy. Looks like it on bolts there, on bolts here, and this front portion should just come right off. So I think while I'm here, I might as well remove the exhaust. So let's do that now. Okay, so we've removed the 3 bolts in the front and we've loosened the clamp in the back. So let's try to wiggle it out. Finally, it is off. Right, so little by little, we're getting there. Fluid's empty, exhaust is off. The front part was quite easy, the rear part was pretty stuck on this clamp, but we've removed it. We didn't need an angle grinder, no bolts broke. So far, so good. Okay, so the next job I think I'm gonna tackle is taking off the front wheels, jacking the car up, and start removing drive shafts, as we won't be able to take the engine out with the gearbox while the drive shafts are still in. So I think the next job is jack up the car, put it on axle stands, and get to removing the drive shafts. Okay, so that's the wheel off, the car on the axle stand. I'm gonna do the other side and then we can start removing the drive shafts. Okay, so we have both wheels off the car on axle stands. So now we're gonna do the drive shaft bolts on both sides, then go back underneath the car and get the rest of the drive shaft bolts. Probably gonna have to remove a wishbone or something so the drive shafts come out a little bit easier. But yeah, let's remove the drive shaft bolts and then we'll see what the next step is. Okay, so the drive shaft bolt is being a pig. I don't want to heat it to ruin the wheel bearing or anything like that. So I'm gonna go and borrow an impact gun at Milwaukee, and I think it should remove it. It removes everything. So I'm gonna go borrow the Milwaukee and we'll be back. Okay, so we're back with the Milwaukee. I am praying to God that this gets it off with no hassle at all. Even the Milwaukee's struggling. We got it. Oh fuck, that's hot. Now to see if the actual drive shaft moves. Oh yes. Now we just have the other side. Thank God that came off. So I'm gonna do the other side and then we'll go underneath the car and get the drive shaft out. Okay, as you can see, the bolt is still on, but we ran into a little issue. So yeah. The other side is a lot worse, but hopefully we can still get it off somehow. The worst bit is that I don't have any more of these and I can't buy one as today is a national holiday, so all the shops are closed. So I don't know what I'm gonna do exactly yet, but as soon as I get it done, I'll let you know, guys. So I finally got it loose. I just put a screwdriver in the disc, the breaker bar, and I just started jumping on it, and thank God it came loose. So we'll remove that and hopefully the drive shaft itself isn't seasoned as well, like the other side. I'm pretty confident because the other side came out easily with like no force at all. So hopefully it's the same on this side. And then we can start removing the two suspension bolts. So I can move this part out and remove the drive shaft. On the other side, I have to go underneath and remove, I think it is 2 screws that hold the drive shaft, and then also remove the suspension screws, tilt it out, and then it should pull out. So let's get these drive shafts finally out. Okay, so let's attempt to remove the 2 bolts that are holding the suspension. Okay, I think I'm gonna get the impact gun. Okay, it should be quicker like this. That's one. And that's the second bolt. So as you can see, we released the hub, and that should be enough to remove this drive shaft. On this side, there's also 2 screws holding like a drive shaft bearing, which we're gonna have to undo, and then the drive shaft should just pull out. So I'm gonna go to the other side, remove these 2 screws, have it in this position, and then we're gonna go underneath the car, remove the drive shafts, and plug the drive shaft holes with some cloths so the oil doesn't spill out. Okay, so this side is done and ready. So as this side, you can see I already pulled out the drive shaft. So let's go underneath the car and pull them out fully. Okay, so the one on the left-hand side is pretty straightforward. Just pull out, plug it so the oil doesn't run out. But on this side, I think we need to remove this bracket here, which holds the drive shaft bearing, and then we'll be able to remove it as well. So I'll do this one first as it's harder. So let's get them 2 bolts off and see how it goes. One bolt. And that's the second bolt. Okay, so that's ready to come out. I'm gonna remove it first from this side, but I'm gonna take off this bracket that holds the brake line so we don't pull it or break it. So I'll remove this so it's a bit more loose, and then we'll have room to take this off, take it out here, and pull the whole thing out this way. Okay, so the brake line is out. We have a little bit more room now. The drive shaft is out of the hub. I'm gonna put back one of the suspension bolts so there's no tension on any of the cables or brake lines. Okay, so we have one of the suspension bolts back in, so okay, I have a cloth ready. Plug that hole. Let's try to move it. Okay, so I've managed to plug that without any oil spilling, and the drive shaft is finally out. And we didn't spill any oil, so thumbs up for that. I deserve for you to subscribe for not spilling any oil. So make sure you hit that button down below and subscribe to stay up to date with all the lovely jobs we have planned ahead. Okay, let's remove the other drive shaft, but I think I'm gonna do it from the top, as here I don't really have much space. So let's go back up to the top and get that one out. Second drive shaft out. Okay, so we have the drive shaft out. The drive shaft hole is plugged on both sides. So we're getting there little by little. So underneath, I think we're pretty much done. There's gonna be an engine mount, I think, like an engine gearbox mount underneath. I think there's one in the middle. So we're gonna remove that. And then we're gonna go up to the top, and then we're gonna check if the AC has any gas in it. If it has gas, I'm gonna try to remove the AC compressor and move it off to the side so we don't have to lose any AC gas, because that's gonna be expensive to refill. If there isn't any gas left in the system, then I'm just gonna remove all the pipes and everything, and it's gonna be a lot easier to get it out. Then we're gonna remove all the cables, the pipes, might get rid of the fan in the front so we can have a bit more space, the battery tray, and we should be able to remove that engine out. So yeah, let's go back down and see if we have an engine mount that we need to get rid of. Once the engine mount is gone, we'll just go over everything underneath, make sure there's nothing else holding it, and then we'll go back up to the top and get everything ready here. The one issue that I have is, as you can see, there's a big hole in my floor. When I bring the engine crane, it's gonna fall under, so I'm gonna have to cover that. I have planks that cover this area, so once I put them back and bring the engine crane here, I start lifting the engine, and if there's anything left underneath that hasn't been unplugged, well, we're screwed. So I'm gonna double, triple check everything underneath so we'll be able to do everything from the top, because once I put the planks back in and have the engine crane here, I don't want to go back underneath the car because, well, it's just going to be a pain in the ass. So yeah, let's go underneath, check for the mountings, everything else that we can remove so we don't have to go back there later, and then we'll go back up to the top. Okay, so we're back underneath the car and we need to remove this engine mount, well, more of a gearbox mount. One screw here, and that should come right off. Then we have another one back here. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3 screws, and once that is off, I think from underneath, that's pretty much everything done. So I'm gonna get them 2 off, double check everything, and we'll move back up to the top and start removing everything that needs to be removed there. Okay, so I've removed the front mount, which is there on the floor, and I've unbolted the 3 screws here that go into the gearbox. As you can see, the engine is moving now, so the only thing that is holding it in place is the 2 top mounts on either side. Underneath, I can't really see anything else that we need to remove, so that's it. Underneath, we're gonna move back up to the top and remove the tray where the battery goes and start taking off the cables that go to the gear lever, all the vacuum pipes, all the cables, sensors, and everything like that. And yeah, then we'll be able to put these planks here, get the engine crane, and hopefully lift it out. I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time I'm taking out an engine. I have obviously worked on cars before and I know roughly what goes where and how stuff comes apart. but I've never ever removed an engine before, so this is the very first time. So I'm learning as I go. So if I am making any mistakes, don't judge me too much, but you can let me know down below in the comments if I have made any mistakes, so next time I can be a little bit better. Also, don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that now. Really encourages me to keep pushing myself to do jobs I haven't done before, and will help to grow this channel a lot. Let's move up to the top and start getting stuff off there. One magic trick I would love to learn is like some of the YouTubers, they go like click and the engine's out. But unfortunately, I haven't learned that yet. So yeah, maybe one day I'll be able to go like this and the engine will be out. But yeah, we'll keep dreaming for now. Yeah, so I think the first thing we're gonna do now is see if there's any AC gas left in the system. If there's no AC gas left, we're gonna remove the tray, all the electrical cables, the vacuum lines, the AC lines, hoses that go to the radiator and everything like that. So pretty much everything that is attached to the engine needs to come off. Yeah, let's get to work. Okay, an easy way to check if there's still AC gas left in the system. Find the filling location of your AC. Usually it has a cap like this. And then just press down with a screwdriver the inside valve. And in my case, nothing is coming out. No gas, no air, no nothing. So the AC in this system is empty. Kinda happy about it and not happy at the same time, as it is summer now, so a working AC would have been very nice, would have been a good selling point, but at least now I can remove all the pipes without having to worry about the AC gas leaking. So I guess there is some upsides to this. Okay, so now I'm just going to remove the battery tray. That will give me access to the gear lever cables and everything like that, so we can get them removed. Then I'll work on getting all these pipes off, maybe the fans, so we have a little bit more room when we're taking out the engine. Probably get the AC pipes off, vacuum lines, all the electrical sensors, injectors and everything. So yeah, once all they come off, it should be just as straightforward as hooking up the engine crane, disconnecting the two engine mounts that are left on the top, and the engine should come right out. I do say should because, well, I don't know. I guess we'll see soon. Okay, so just a quick update of where we are now. So I've removed the battery tray, I've moved the reservoir out of the way, I've disconnected the turbo pipes, the EGR pipes, the injectors, a vacuum line that goes to the turbo, all the sensors and everything that were here. So all the sensors and cables from the injector sensors around this area have been disconnected. Pipes removed, the tray. So now I have to do is remove the gear linkages, the AC compressor pipes, the gearbox mass cylinder. Oil pipe needs to come off. And yeah, just basically going around unplugging everything and hoping when it comes back to putting back together that I remember where everything goes, because, well, it's not just like 5 cables that you unplug, take out the engine and put a bit back in and plug in 5 cables. There's electrical cables, vacuum lines, oil feed, sensors, coolant, everything. There's just so much. So as I've never done this before, it does seem a little bit scary, but hopefully we won't have any problem. I'm guessing it is a good thing that I am filming, so I'll be able to go back on the footage and see what goes where and what plugged in where. I've made a few photos and a few videos on my phone, so hopefully we won't have any problems when it comes back to putting everything back together. Alright, so I'm going to keep removing things that are attached to the engine, and once I think everything is removed that needs to be removed, we'll start getting the engine crane into place, hook up the chains and put some tension on it, and then remove the engine mounts, start lifting it, and if there's anything else that's attached, we'll remove it. And hopefully within a couple of hours, I think the engine should be out. So far, it's been, well, relatively easy. I can't say that anything was too hard. Drive shaft bolts were seized on, but we got them off anyway. So yeah, everything's going pretty well. The only thing, like I said, I'm worried about is when I'm putting everything back together, will I remember where everything goes? But yeah, I'm putting screws and bolts separately where everything was, so I shouldn't mix up any bolts or screws. Really, the only thing that's worrying me is like the electrical cables, the sensors and all that, but I'm pretty sure we can do it. Okay, so anyway, back to work, removing everything that I can see, and I'll update you once everything is removed. Okay, so a few hours later, I think we have everything. So we have removed all the cables and everything going to the gearbox, all sensors, all coolant pipes, intercooler pipes, all the sensors here being disconnected, injectors underneath, at the back, at the sides, AC, compressor. It seems like I've disconnected everything. So what I'm gonna do now is put the planks back, bring the engine lift, connect the engine lift to the connection points, put some tension on it, and unscrew the 2 top mounts that are holding the engine Once I do that, we can start raising the engine up slowly. And hopefully I haven't forgot to unplug something, but I'm pretty sure I got everything. There has been a million and one things to disconnect. Before I started this job, I thought it was going to be a lot simpler. But I knew there's going to be a lot of work, but I didn't think there'll be this much. Anyway, enough talking. It is getting late. It's already 4:20. I started around 11 or 12 o'clock. I did have to go away for a few times to get like the Milwaukee and a few other bits, but so far it's around 4 or 5 hours of work in this job so far. Let's just hope that we're coming to an end with removing this engine. Okay, enough rambling. Let's put the planks back underneath, get the engine lift and start raising this engine out. Okay, so we put the planks back in. We got the engine crane. I've put some tension on the engine itself. So what I'm gonna do now is remove the two engine mounts and hope for the best. I don't think it should fall anywhere because, well, the engine crane's holding it. Just hopefully we haven't forgot to unbolt or remove any of the pipes or wiring or anything like that. Right, I'm gonna remove these two engine mounts and we'll see what we have then. Okay, so the engine is kind of out. So it's looking like this right now. So I need to go up quite a bit still, but the problem is I can't put the crane up anymore because it's gonna hit the roof. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to try to lower the car somehow. It is on axle stands, so maybe I'll put up the jack, remove the axle stand and drop it. And I really should have taken off the bonnet. It's getting quite close to it as well. It's very tight. I can see why it's recommended to drop this engine instead of lifting it up, but we didn't have an option to do that here. If I would have removed the front bumper, grille, radiators and everything like that, it would have been a lot easier. When we're putting the engine back, we might put it back without the alternator, without the AC compressor and that, to give it a little bit more room. But yeah, I need to figure out now what to do because I don't have any more room there and the engine still needs to come up a lot. And I don't want to lower the engine. I should have thought of it before. I could have shortened these linkages. If I'd done that, I think I would have been able to come out. So we'll see. Maybe I'll drop it back down, lower these linkages, or drop the car down. Okay, I don't know if you've seen the little mistake we done there. I lowered the engine back down a little bit. It got stuck on something, so I thought I'd lower the linkages. And basically all the linkages fell off. So if the engine would have moved in any way, it would have went right down to the basement. But anyway, we caught it in time. We lowered the linkages. It looks like we didn't forget any pipes or any sensors or anything, so it looks like we disconnected everything and the engine is clearing. We should be able now to move it back, and yeah, we're gonna strip this engine down, get another one from the scrapyard, swap all the good bits over, because the only thing that's wrong with this engine is the actual block inside. When it's running, there's a strong rattling sound coming from like the cylinder. So everything else around the engine is good, like the injectors, alternators, AC pumps and everything like that. So we're going to reuse everything because the engine we're going to buy is going to be just the bare engine without any of the other bits. But yeah, let's move it away from here and we'll see. Really guys, you need to subscribe and share this video so the channel grows, so I can afford a bigger garage, because, well, we ran into another clearance problem. So again, it's hitting now off this bit. I can't really lower it or it'll hit the grill. So yeah, in a bit of a pickle. Finally, we done it. Okay, so it looks like we haven't damaged the grill or any of the plastics on the Astra. We did scrape the roof a little bit, but that doesn't matter. Look at that. Maybe we should put a V8 into it. V8 the Astra. I'll start a GoFundMe now, so we can V8 this Astra instead of flipping it. Just kidding. But yeah, I can't believe it's finally out. But now I'm even more worried about putting it back in. But if it comes out, it must go in. So yeah, after about 5 or 6 hours of work, the engine is out. I'm gonna have to fix this little pipe here I cut off because I just couldn't get it off at either end. So that's the only thing that we'll have to fix. So what I'm gonna do is move the engine here. When we bring the new engine, we'll put it here and then we can swap bits from one to another. So in the next video, what we're gonna be doing is swapping bits from this engine onto the new engine. And I'll get the engine bay ready for the new engine just by cleaning up everything, putting cables nice and neatly everywhere, so when we're putting the engine back in, it doesn't break or squeeze or dislodge anything that shouldn't. So anyway guys, the engine is finally out. I'm really happy we finally got the engine out. Next week the new engine will be here. We can swap bits from one to another, put everything back together and hopefully start it. And hopefully the engine we buy runs and doesn't have any knocking sounds or any other defects that it shouldn't have. So fingers crossed the engine we get will be perfect, and let's hope everything goes back in perfectly, everything gets connected, like everything that needs to be connected gets connected. I don't forget anything. But yeah, I have labeled all the screws. I put them all separately, all the cables and everything I've took pictures of. So I think to connect everything back up shouldn't be a problem. The biggest job will be to actually get the engine back in, and hopefully the engine that we do get back in is a good engine, because I really don't want to have to do that again. Because if the engine for the scrapyard is bad, they do have a warranty, so I can bring it back and get another one, but I'll have to remove it again, which I really don't want. So yeah, once we strip this engine, take all the good bits off it, we're gonna bring it to the scrapyard to, well, scrap it, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of money for this, because, well, it weighs a couple of 100 kilos, I guess. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of money back. We'll still need to buy oil, antifreeze, another few bits. After we pay for the new engine, we'll be left with, we'll only have about €80 left in the bank. So that's not quite a lot to like buy oil, filters, antifreeze, all the other things it will need. Plus we'll be polishing it, it'll need a paint touch up, the wind mirror cap, and stuff, so we need to save as much as possible. Okay, I'll not bore you anymore. I'll get the engine in, clean up, tidy up, and go home. And I'll see you in the next video when we swap all the bits from one engine to the other engine and then put it back in the car. So thanks for watching the video. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that right now. Hit that like button, notifications. Leave a comment down below if you think we will stay underneath the €500 budget or if we'll have to go over it. See you in the next video.